Billy Black. Today is February the 28th, 2006, and we are in the library of the First Presbyterian Church. And Mr. Black, we thank you for allowing us to interview you, and we hope you can give us an insight to the lives of the people who live in Eastern Heights, the Eastern Heights section of Mooresville. So what would you like to tell us about that?
Yes, good evening. My name is Billy Black, and I'd like to tell you a little about Eastern Heights. Eastern Heights, now was first called Ewell Town because, now the Ewell family owned, the land that is now Eastern Heights.
All right, but for historical records, can you give us some idea about what part of town you are referring to when you say Eastern Heights?
Okay, I am now, not referring to, like the Willow Valley Park, East McLaren, Maple Street, Sharp Street, like a Barris Avenue, White Street, and Sycamore. That's on the east side of town. Okay, also, I like to say, that the United House of Prayer for all people in the year of 1930, they built a tent. Now, that was on Cabarrus Avenue, but there wasn't no Cabarrus then. And they stayed there for about, a year or two, and then they moved to Sharp Street in 1930, and they built the first house of prayer in 1930, and the minister, their name was Mr. Clarence Mayhew. And then in 1945, they built the second house of prayer, and the minister's name was Ella Greer and Ella Dolph Corner. Now, so this is back in the 30s and the 40s. Also, across the street from the house of prayer, now was a church called Stewart Chapel.
Now, the house of prayer, you said the tent was on Sharp Street. Was the church built on the same place?
No, ma'am. The land that they built the first church, the Brawleys owned the land, and they sold, the land to them. And the second church they built, the Brawleys also owned that land.
Now, where was that located?
That was located on Sharp Street between White Street and Maple Street.
So both of them were on Sharp Street?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, and also across the street from the house of prayer, there was a church that they called a Stewart Chapel. Now, Stewart Chapel, it was a minister by the name of Charlie Stewart. I think he had a daughter by the name of Miss Bibb Adams. She's 90-some years old right now, and she's in the Bryan Center. Their family came from Henderson, North Carolina, and after that church closed, now the members of that church went to Caldwell Chapel and Mount Morn, and also Mars Chapel. Now, and back then, Stewart Chapel was a AM church, because there was no United Methodist or M.E. Zion. And so, that's where those two churches, branched out from Stewart Chapel. Also, there was some cafes that was on Sharp Street in that same block in area. There was a lady by the name of Miss Frances White. She ran a cafe. It was a house, and they made a cafe out of it. And this was back in the 30s. And then when she, now retired, Mr. Jim Sanders, took it over. And also, back in the 30s, there was no White Street, but there was a house sitting the same place White Street is that, they used to show movies. Because the movies uptown, after they would finish, they would send them to, the black community. And Mr. Campbell said that, they used to watch movies there. And also, Willow Valley Park. the Burlington Mill used to own that land, and Mr. Bill Allison and some black churches, tried to get together to buy it, to put a park there, but they didn't raise the money, so the town of Morris bought it, and it became a Willow Valley Park. And Mr. Bill Allison owned a cafe, a barber shop, and beauty salon on Cabarrus Avenue. And I think his wife named, Miss Lacey Bell ran the beauty salon, and Miss Etna. Allison was her sister, but Miss Edna was Bill's wife. I'm sorry about that. And also, the Reverend Bankhead ran the barber shop. And so this was open from 1946 to 1968. And then after the place closed, now Mr. Pipe Stewart tore it down and built, a place there for his daughter. And also his father, now Mr. Wes Allison, owned a 2 or 3 story building there, which was a rooming house. Now when people were building the railroads and doing things, moving through town, he would rent rooms and things to people and all, and so that was right beside the cafe. And also Mr. Shoemake and Mr. Ab Rilla owned a store on Maple Street back in the 60s, and back in the 70s Mr. Shoemake took it over, and then in the 80s now Mr. Gabe Gable took it over and ran it. And also we had a lodge that was on Maple Street. It was called, a Price Lodge, 290, and it's still there to right today.
Was that a Masonic lodge?
Yes, ma'am. Prince Hall, and so this lodge has been in existence since 1990. I mean, no, let's see, 1909. Yes, 1909. And also on Eastern Heights, the first football field, that they would call Hood Field, and Eastern Heights was the first, I would say, residential area in Morrisville. And also, let me see, give me a little time here. Also, I'd like to say, now the Mr. Terry Taxis business used to be over there, and and it began in 1926, and to Jim Lee Vanderberg as the founder, and during 1941, Mr. Paul Stewart took it over, and then in 1946, Mr. Terry Graham took it over, and this business was in business for over 40 years. And I'd like to say that growing up on Eastern Heights, it was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Rob Brown. And Mr. Rob Brown, back in the 60s and 70s, ran a baseball team. And and the men in the community, they would buy our gloves, and a lot of the boys, they didn't have fathers, they come out, single homes. And so we went to different communities in town, out of town. Like we played Amity Hill, South Idle, Mayhew Town, different places like that. And and also there was a gentleman by the name of Willie Houston. Back in the 60s and 70s, they had a backyard where we lifted weights and we wrestled and we boxed and everything. And these gentlemen, they taught us discipline and everything, and they kept us out of trouble,
describe this community of people that live together down there in Eastern Heights?
Well, I would say that, it was like a big family because everybody was your mother. If you did something wrong, and not a woman down the street, next door, they would get you, you know what I mean? And they would tell your parents. Now, that's how it was. And and the thing about it, that we passed our clothes down through generations, and and everything, to our brothers and our cousins and our neighbors, because things were hard back then. Some families, they lived in, 3-room houses with maybe, 10 or 12 people, but they survived. And I can remember the time that, we didn't have bathtubs and, things like that, and the toilet was outside, and, different things like that. Now, so we come through, some hard times, and, but God blessed us, and, everybody got, through and everything,
What part did the church play in your life?
Well, with the church on Eastern Heights, it had a real, a part in everybody's life because, now the house of prayer, they would have, a bands all the time, and, a preaching, a selling, things like that. And when we came along, you had to go to church. If your parents were sick or, or something was wrong, now your aunt or the neighbor, somebody's going to make sure, that you got there. Now, and so, that's how it was. And that the kids didn't run things then, the parents did, you didn't have no say so.
Tell us something about where you went to school then.
Okay, now before I moved to Mooresville, I lived out at Miller's Airport. I was raised up with Jimmy Miller's daughters, Chris and Nancy, and I went to Agri. Agri was a school in Lannis from the 1st through the 12th grade, and I went there, for 3.5 years. And when I first moved to Mooresville, I went to Dunbar, and when I went to Dunbar, maybe about 1 or 2 months, and they integrated the, schools, and I went to South School over by First Baptist Church. That for 1 year, and then a 6th grade they moved us to the old junior high. That's where Mitchell, Community College is right today. And after that 1 year there, we moved in the new middle school over on Magnolia, and then to senior high to the 9th grade, and then I moved to Baltimore, Maryland, and I went to Job Corps there, what they call Woodstock, Maryland, and then I lived in Maryland for maybe about 12 or 13 years, and I moved back home, and I met me a girl and got married, and I settled down,
Been here ever since.
Ever since, and also I received the first Habitat home here in Mooresville over on East McClellan Avenue, and I moved in December of 1990. So I was in there for Christmas.
Tell us about how you came about to become the first owner of a Habitat house in Mooresville.
Okay, now my wife had heard something about it, and I asked Miss Alice Harrington, that goes to the First Presbyterian Church here, and so she was on that committee, and so I filled out, an application, and I began to work with a family selection, a billing committee, and different committees and things, and and so I was the first one to receive the house, but Miss Alice Harrington, she really helped me a lot.
But you had to put some of your own effort into it, right?
Oh yes, like you.
Build it.
All right. Now that you have to put in at least 300 hours of sweat equity. And I've been in my house now for 15 years.
Well, I know that's something you're very proud of.
I am, and also I helped build about 4 or 5 other houses. And right now, I would probably say Eastern Heights probably has about close to 40 houses now.
Habitat houses or?
Yes, sir. Habitat homes. and it's one place, they call Eddie's Place, that's behind me. I think they have about 19 built back there. And, they call it King Forest, like where, I live at. So they came in Eastern Heights, changed all these names. And we probably got about, I think it's about 12 there. And then there's another section, they call it Charlton Court or something like that. And they have around probably about 11 or 12 in that area. And so all together, I'll probably say, that the Eastern Heights area at the present time, they have about between 35 and 40.
So what they did is they came in and tore down the old houses and built new ones?
No, they didn't. Now, what they did, they came in and, they cleaned the land off and everything because, that used to be, not a trash dump down there years and years ago. And so what they did was they came in there and fixed the land and everything, and a part of it was woods and things like that. And now so they fixed it up and everything, and they built those homes. And also right behind Eddie's Place is a Glenwood Cemetery. And before it was Glenwood, a cemetery, it was called Calvin and Brawley. Because they used to own it, and they sold it, to the town of Mooresville back in the 40s. And then came the Genesis, in that area. I think Genesis Elder Care. Yeah.
What happened to all those businesses that were over in Eastern Heights?
Okay, what happened was, those people died out and everything, and Bill Allison got sick. And his wife, she couldn't keep it all up and everything, and so, so the families, they didn't ever, pick it back up or anything, and so it just went down and everything, and a lot of people, they got old and they moved and them things of that nature, and Stewart Chapel, I heard one time that the church caught on fire, and then I heard that one time that it, closed and everything. So I'm not really sure, but I think that the church caught on fire and they ended up, moving, somewhere else. Yeah.
So the businesses, as the families got older and
yes.
got older, they just kind of died out. The next generation didn't continue on with it.
Oh no. Well, they had different ideas and thoughts and things.
They want to go on
yes.
somewhere else.
Yeah, and also Eastern Heights was, it was big for bootlegging because like the Mooresville was a dry county then, and so they had, bootlegging houses all over the place and everything, and so it was a very exciting place.
Lots of activity.
Oh yeah.
Well, now you mentioned when you were at Wood School, sometime in that era, or that time frame that they integrated the schools in Mooresville.
Yes, sir.
Was that did that, in your opinion, go fairly smoothly, or
well,
what do you think about the integration?
Okay, well, thing about it, now when I went to South School, it was smooth. Now, but the second year when I went to the old junior high, it was sort of rough. They had a lot of racial problems and things like that. Now, because you were dealing with the older generation. And it was a lot of fights and things like that, but but after they did it for 2 or 3 years, everything just mellowed out. Everybody learned to live together and all, but I think it was a big culture difference and things like that, but but everything worked out.
That's good to hear.
Yes, sir.
All right, is there anything else you want to tell us about?
Let me see. Hold it for a second.
Dump the paper down there on the table.
Billy, let's look at the historical documents that you you had there, where did those come from?
Okay, some came from the, Statesville Library, and also, like, I met with older people, in the 80s and the 90s, and now, and I talked to them, and I got, a lot of information and different things, and basically, from senior citizens, some of the ones have died and, are passed on and everything, and, a few of them, are still around.
So you guys had a personal interest in that and accumulated the information?
Yes, sir. And what made me get, interested in that is because Statesville area, what they call Rabbit Tail, for years they've been having a Rabbit Tail reunion, and that got me real interested in that. And so I talked to some of the community, and so we started digging out information, and so we started having what they call a Eastern Heights reunion. Now we have two things a year. Now we have the Juneteenth, a celebration. That was the end of slavery, and now everything's free. Now that we ask people to donate things because we don't want nobody to be without. And so that's last year, that we had, now the YMCA and the AIDS Foundation, that we brought people in, to give out all kind of information, and we had fish and hot dogs, hamburgers, all kind of food.
Where do you have this?
We have it at the Willow Valley Park. Now, and we had a car show and different things of that nature. And everybody just have a wonderful time, but we have no alcohol and everything, and they have gospel singing and karate, and they have games and things for the kids, horseshoes and chess and different stuff like that. So it's just a whole day of and also we have speakers that are talking on different subjects now, now to educate the public, and different things. And so it usually starts about 12 o'clock during the day, and it usually lasts about 8 o'clock at night. Now, and everything, it depends on what type of year it is or the weather and everything, but we just have a wonderful time, and I think it's a time that, people get together, to talk and get to know each other, because, people work all the time, and, or they just don't have time all the time and everything. And the community watch, talk to people, and we give out information, and we want them to know that, we love our community, and we are not going to let people come in and or take it over, and and we want everybody to be a part of this and everything. And so we have meetings once a month at the House of Prayer. Now, so we started in 2002, and we're having them to right today, and also we joined the State Community Watch. And so we have our own website and everything, and so now so we keep up with everything and all, and we have really cleaned our neighborhood up big time.
And you want to keep it clean.
And we want to keep it clean, because I try to tell the brothers, some of them don't understand, but I tell them that the men are the protectors and the providers of the women and children. It's time to get up out of your seat, brothers, because the women, they're working, they're not asleep.
Well, that sounds like a wonderful service to your community.
Yes, ma'am.
It also is a wonderful service to the town of Mooresville that you're keeping that community clean.
Right.
And you said that you took the interest to accumulate the history.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, and
Thank
now
you.
you got it recorded. That's one.
And then what we're trying to do now, we're trying to get some new homes built on Shaw Street, like to have, a cascade, because Shaw Street right now has really ran down, and it really looks bad. And we have talked to the town commissioners, and they have been over, and looked and everything, and something's got to be done because we are too close to town.
Okay.
And also, since we had, the community watch, like a Barris Avenue, now has been widened, sidewalks, gutters. Also, we got our park fixed up. Now we got lights all down, you know, around Weller Valley Park, because it used to be so dark down there, you know, that you couldn't see anything at night, you know. Now, so we got all that lit up now, you know, and that makes it, you know, a safer, you know, enough for people to walk. Also, in the future, you know, we're looking for, you know, sidewalks down through there, and also they're working on Dye Creek. They're trying to fix the water problems because, you know, because now we have, you know, so much asphalt in the town is growing so much that, you know, that we have water problems, and so they're working on that. And also, you know, they put in all new sewage pipes and different things through there and everything, and so, you know, it's just a lot of work going in over there.
So your efforts have been successful to this point.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add to our interview?
Well, you know, and I would like to say that, you know, I hope that, you know, the museum, you know, turn out to be a success. I'd like to give thanks, you know, now to Mac Harridan and his organization, and also now, you know, to the Mac Foundation, you know, now for donating the building to us and everything. And may God bless you and keep you. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy, tell us something. You talked about Eastern Heights and the black community that was over there. Tell us about the other black areas in Mooresville, like West End, Cascade, or some of those.
Okay, now, you know, like the West End area, now before it was called West End, it was called Gooseland. And the Cascade area, you know, now was called a Flat Top. And also we had, you know, now some more residents, over, behind the Bryan Center, so it's over near Center and the West Idale, that was called Akita Town. And it was Akita Town, and it was another area that they call Williamstown. Now Williamstown, Mr. Crouch owned a lot of homes there, you know, and you know, they just tore them down this year, 2005. Now, 'cause they're gonna build a mini mall there, and also on the east side of town around 1910, Eastern Heights, now became the first residential area of Mooresville. And on Monday, September the 22nd, on 1930, now the Lowrance Hospital was dedicated in the resident supervision called Eastern Heights. And this was the beginning of the, destruction of Eastern Heights as a residential community. And also, that the Hood Field and all was there, and the Warmore. Now, that the Warmore, the community center that was dedicated in honor of the fallen soldiers of World War I. And wondering what these 18 to 20-year-old kids, that would say to this boy today. And the community, a swimming pool, that was constructed there. And the Bryan Center that was dedicated in 1978. And the middle school that was dedicated in 1968. And the Genesis, a nursing home that was dedicated in 1965. And the New South School was built in 1975. And the Mooresville, Glenwood, a cemetery that was, enlarged. The third high school in traffic noise and lights until around midnight during that time. And the Mooresville New South School was dedicated in 1975. And the Mooresville Public Library that was organized in 1897. And the Mooresville Police, that department was incorporated in 1873. And the first post office that was located beside the Goodman drugstore in April the 26th, 1938. That before then they met in a house. And the first fire department was opened May the 10th, 1919, and the first rescue squad, that was organized in 1953, the third oldest in North Carolina. And the first football field was Hood Field on Eastern Height, now behind the Old South school on Church Street. Church on Sharp Street and White Street that was called Stewart Chapel and the House of Prayer. I think that's all here tonight.
Okay.
Okay.